Hey, this is Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so that you can connect with others and also with God. And it's the connecting with others that I really want to talk about today in this video. I'm at Tyndale taking a grad degree, and I love how Tyndale has transitioned to being a mostly on-site school to be completely online school with what they have done. Gotta be honest though, I'm missing the interaction with my friends that we used to do in the coffee place, in the library, in the gym. Loved going to the gym with my friends. Missing all that, and we're missing each other, I think. And so just very recently we've begun to connect with each other in different ways, in online ways, in ways that we haven't before. We got to this place where we'd settled in to this new reality of being online, and we almost rejected that social part of school, and they're like, well, no, we can't reject it, we want it back. So we've been intentional about connecting with each other in different ways. Lots of texts, lots of emails, lots of Zoom meetings. I think I'm even going to have my very first Zoom darts fun time, whatever, hangout coming up very soon. Looking forward to it. Let me ask you a question, please. What are you doing to connect differently with people? You know, like my friends and I at Tyndale, we kind of settled into this moment as though this is what it is for now, but this for now is really extending way too long. And so let me ask you, instead of just doing this for now thing and not reaching out, not connecting with people, what are you doing differently right now? What are you doing to connect differently with people? So this week it was so crazy to hear that we have been ordered to stay at home in Ontario. And because of that, I don't really feel like continuing our series through Mark right now. I don't think that's where we're at right now. I mean, it's not like there are any other texts jumping out to me that show us how Jesus and the disciples endured a pandemic together and endured isolation and social distancing together. You know, there's no lockdown in the Gospels, really. But then this week, while I was doing devotions with one of my daughters, she had this super genius moment where she made an awesome connect, and she taught me something. And what she taught me, I want to share this with you. So today, I don't want to be super Bible heady. I mean, I'm going to be referring to a Bible text, but I want to be super practical and helpful because I want us to understand how valuable connecting with each other is and how super important it is for us to be intentional about it, and how much agency, how much personal power we have to make our lives better right now, even during this order to stay at home. In one of Jesus' stories, he speaks to the reality of being alone, without resources, and isolated from an original community. He tells a story of a rich man and his employee, a manager. He was going to fire this manager, and so the manager, faced with losing his social circle and his income and heading toward being completely alone, this employee, this manager, does something that ensured both his mental health and also his future health as well. So the focus of this video and the encouragement that I have for you while we're faced with the stay-at-home order comes from Luke chapter 16, verses 1 through 8. Jesus told this story to his disciples. There was a certain rich man who had a manager handling his affairs. One day a report came that the manager was wasting his employer's money, so the employer called him in and said, "What's this I hear about you? Get your report in order because you are going to be fired." The manager thought to himself, "Now what? My boss has fired me. I don't have the strength to dig ditches, and I'm too proud to beg. I know how to ensure that I'll have plenty of friends who will give me a home when I'm fired." So he invited each person who owed money to his employer to come and discuss the situation. He asked the first one, "How much do you owe him?" The man replied, "I owe him 8 gallons of olive oil." So the manager told him, "Take the bill, quickly change it to 400 gallons. "How much do you owe my employer?" he asked the next man. "I owe him 1,000 bushels of wheat," was the reply. Here the manager said, "Take the bill and change it to 800 bushels. The rich man had to admire the dishonest rascal for being so shrewd. And it's true that the children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with the world around them than are the children of the light. Here's the lesson. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Then, when your possessions are gone, they will welcome you to an eternal home." Hey kids, remember to keep your eyes on the background for all the characters that are hidden in there. And also please remember to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ. Okay, this is just purely pastoral. Okay, this is purely just a, I don't know, a shot in the arm or like a hand on the shoulder, something like that, to encourage you to do something that's going to help you during yet again another shut-in order, lockdown order, stay-at-home order. Okay, here it is. Here's my encouragement to you from this text. We're going to break it out in a second. Connect. That's it. One word. Connect. Okay, so this isn't exactly a one-to-one ratio of what we're experiencing in Ontario, but there are similarities between what we're experiencing in Ontario and also this text. I mean, the manager is about to be locked out instead of locked in, locked out of a life that he was used to. He's about to lose all of his contacts, and he's about to lose his ability to earn an income. And that's not an unusual story for some people in Toronto, particularly small business owners and people that work for small businesses or restaurants losing their jobs and being locked away from their income. There are some similarities in this text for us here in Toronto. But what I want to see is the solution that this rascal, as Jesus calls him, this rascal of a manager comes up with. Jesus uses this as an example of what we can do to get through this lock-in that we're currently in now. So I've got two reasons why I'm encouraging you to connect, and I'm encouraging you to connect right away. Here's the first reason. You may need to exercise your agency to remind yourself that you actually have some. The text actually says, here's the lesson, use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Here's the thing about me and my friends at Tyndale. You know, personally, I really like the whole online learning thing. I absolutely love it. However, I do really miss the kind of interaction that I had with the other people going through the program that I'm going through. We've all just kind of been settling into this so much that we started to wear this social distancing thing like it's an old sweater that we really like and we can't get rid of, and it's our identity. It's who we are. You know, I tend to be that kind of guy that wears sweaters for a long time. There starts to get holes and rips in them, but they just make them more comfortable, and I just don't want to get rid of them because I like them so much and it's part of my identity now. This is kind of how we're wearing the social distancing thing, me and my friends at Tyndale, but it's not really working for us, and it looks like we're just starting to adapt. We're connecting socially in new ways to continue existing friendships and make new kinds of friendships within the people that are in a program. One of the problems with social distancing is this. We can settle into this thinking that we can't do anything about it, as though it's like that old sweater that we just don't want to get rid of. It's a piece of us. It's our identity. There's something, though, that we can do about this, and I don't mean rebel and not follow any kind of lockdown orders. I mean explore other options. It's like we can get locked into this theme or this idea of what reality really is like right now. And once we're locked into that perspective, we begin to see the world just through that lens. I think the lens that some of us are looking through is a lens that informs us that we are alone and we are powerless, and that's just not true. I love every spring when I get to wash off the motorcycle and start going for rides again, because for the entire winter, it gets to the point where I feel like I've lost my riding legs and I settle into the reality that my life does not look like I'm a guy who owns a motorcycle and like, can I even ride a motorcycle anymore? But the minute spring comes along and I get to wash the bike and go out for a ride, suddenly I'm very, very different. Suddenly I realize, oh, I can ride a motorcycle. I mean, simple illustration, I get it. But in the middle of this lockdown, and continued social distancing, we really need to knock the dust off of our people skills and reach out and continue with some existing friendships or make some new friendships here. The longer we're out of touch with people socially, the more we start to feel like this is what reality is for us, and then the greater our mental health distress. The more alone we feel, the more isolated we feel, the more depression kicks in, the more we're just sad all the time, and we start gaining a lot more weight, and there's nothing that we want to do to get out of bed for. You know, you're not alone. Not really. Maybe you just need a little boost. You have some agency here that you could reach into, you can tap into, some power on the inside of you, some empowerment. You are empowered to make a change to this aloneness that we are experiencing as we come into another shut-in order or lockdown order. Please don't stay alone. Please look for new ways to connect with people, and please be intentional about it, because it's not going to happen naturally because we're not used to this. We're going to have to put a little bit of thought into it and a little bit of muscle power, elbow grease into it as we learn new ways to connect with other people. The guy in the story was intentional about making friends. And it was important for him to do that. If he didn't, he'd be heading into some really, really bad times. Part of the point of the story is that the manager was intentional and came up with an idea to avoid a life of loneliness and resourcelessness. Jesus uses that story to tell us something. Use the resources you have to make friends. Whatever those resources are, however big, however small. Use your internet, use your phone, use your letter writing skills, use your voice calling out the window. Whatever you have to reach out to others, use that to make some friends or to continue growing some existing friendships that you have and stay connected. Because listen, loneliness really sucks. And when I say loneliness really sucks, like, I'm an extrovert, I feel that deeply, okay? Loneliness really sucks. This is not a good moment for extroverts. It's not a good moment for introverts either. This is too lonely even for introverts. I mean, it really does suck, okay? But you are not without agency. And neither am I. Friendship really matters. So right now, you have the agency not to be alone. Whatever resources you have at your fingertips, would you please use some of those resources to reach out to the people that are around you, the people that you have access to electronically now, and continue to press into some friendships. And of course, if you're resource light, if you don't have a lot of resources, and think about some of your friends who do have resources and try to connect with them, because maybe you're the reminder that they need, that friendship really matters and it's important. And loneliness is something that we may be able to do something about with all the technology and resources that are around us. If you're resource light, call up one of your resource heavy, resource abundant friends and say, hey, let's just connect and remember that friendship matters. Here's the second reason I'm encouraging you to connect. It may not be in your best interest to keep yourself alone. The text says, when your possessions are gone, they will welcome you to an eternal home. Okay, so for the manager in the story, his resources were just about to be all gone. So for him, it wasn't in his best interest to try to meet that challenge on his own. For you, it may be just as bad an idea for you to try to conquer this new stay-at-home thing all alone as well. The stay-at-home order has the potential of keeping us pretty isolated, namely our kids and our teens. Friends and socializing is at an all-time low for kids and teens. And you know what? That's saying something for us Canadians, because during the winter, us Canadians, we tend to hibernate a little bit. We already tend to embrace social distancing a little bit. But I mean, this is too much. This is beyond the Canadian norm. We're in a moment where it's like the boss has told us that we're about to lose our stability. So Jesus tells us the answer is making friends. Friends who will catch us right now, and friends who will connect with us forever. He ties the idea of being intentional about making friends into God's mission. Making friends may eventually lead to an eternal friendship with the people around us as we express kingdom agency, communicating and demonstrating how awesome Jesus is. I find it so very interesting here and so very meaningful here that in the case of the manager and how Jesus brings out the meaning of the story, he doesn't say this is a time to pray. He doesn't say something like, okay, you're all in lockdown now. You're all about to be socially isolated now. So now's a perfect time for you to take the time to pray. He doesn't say that. He says, as you're going into this isolated moment, now is the time for you to reach out and make some friends, because isolation is just not healthy. So here's my point. Connect, okay? Connect. Jesus says the 2 commandments that summarizes all of the law, all of the commandments, everything that's required of us is love God and love people. We got to do both. We got to be connecting with God and we got to be connecting with people. We can't just have one. We need them both. So right now, we need to be more intentional about this in order to keep ourselves healthy. You have the power and agency to do this. Would you please connect. Okay, that's not very Bible deep today, but I sure do think it's practical, and I sure do think it's needed for what we're dealing with right now. That's it from me to you for now. For community, creating community spaces so that you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.